This is Nick LeBrant, and I'll be your host for the AUI Podcast. This is our way of telling our story. It's for communicating messages to our employees, friends, families, and the public, letting them know who we are and what we stand for. We'll be bringing important messages, audio clips, and information from our management team, and a lot of history from our owners. Really hoping you enjoy these podcasts as much as we've enjoyed making them. Lars Granger stopped by our recording studio to visit about his role at the company. We got to visiting about technology and how our gadgets and devices have changed how we get work done, and the concerns we all have about being recorded for public consumption, hanging ourselves out there for the whole world to dissect and analyze.
Good morning, Lars. How's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing, Brent?
Not too bad. It's morning. Trying to get through it. So we got a lot to talk about today. Thanks for sitting down.
No problem. I've been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah. So I got a couple things I wanted to discuss with you today. Kind of take us back to the start, if you could, of how this all started. Learn a little bit more about you, who you are, and then the start of this company. So I think I'm just going to start it off with a few questions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that'll work.
So who is Lars Granger? Who are you? What are you about? Give us some background on you.
Well, I like to fish. I don't know.
You got a family, wife, kids?
I got a family of 8, 2 married, 1 grandkid.
Okay.
4 goats. I really like my goats.
What kind of goats you got?
Berber goats.
Why do you have goats?
Because we had a pasture that was overrun with just pricker bushes. And so heavy you couldn't even walk in there. But they're doing a pretty good job mowing.
All right.
So, other than that, hobbies are, well, I shouldn't get into them.
Why not?
ARs, guns.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You don't think they'd be like as a whack job?
Our employees?
No.
Yeah, I don't think they care that you shoot guns on the weekends.
Shoot guns, fish, fly airplanes, model airplanes.
Oh.
My brother's more into that than I am right now at present time, but
so let's go back. Let's step back a little bit. If you had to describe Lars Granger in high school or middle school, what was that version of Lars into? What was he like?
I can't remember that long ago. But if I were to guess, I'd probably say I was a little more introverted. Because I changed schools a lot. It was hard to make friends and leave them and make new ones, and sometimes you didn't fit in, and it was a little rougher.
So sounds like you moved around a lot when you were younger. When did you end up here in Maryland? How old were you when you ended up here?
We moved out here in 95, so I was probably 15.
Yeah.
And lived here ever since.
Oh.
Yeah. My mother passed away in 93, and then Dad got remarried in 95. They wanted to live on the East Coast, so that's why I moved from Sheridan, Wyoming to here.
Okay. So from Sheridan, Wyoming to Maryland, that's kind of a big change, different
Cultures.
Yeah. Would you say you got more of that Wyoming culture still, or do you think you've completely adapted to that mid-Atlantic thing?
I'd probably say, I don't know. I kind of like wide open spaces still.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care to sit in traffic. But I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
No.
So you get here at 15 and then take me through the next couple of years.
Well, then, yeah, let's see. So, Dad moved back. He started Area Electric, and I worked for him, up until 2010.
Okay.
For when us boys took over. But as far as got married, started having kids.
You guys started your own business, or you guys took over an existing electrical company, or you started something new?
We took over from 2010. My dad retired, and we were able to, us 4 boys, take over the company. And
got it.
So
And is that when the focus kind of shifted more to a utility-based
I'd say
type of work, or were you already starting to make that switch?
it was already making that switch. It was probably 5 years prior that we started switching over from electrical work to utility type work.
So you kind of grew up in your dad's business as an electrician, residential, commercial electrician. Was that kind of the start of this? Was that your trade, or is that what you did when you were younger?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, definitely. I got my master license. About 20.
When you were 20?
Yeah, I had enough hours. At the time I was 20, I think 21 or 22 or something.
Wow. How long does it usually take to get?
Well, as far as 14,000 hours or something.
Most people work around 2,000 hours a year.
Yeah. I think I was doing 2,500 to 3 a year.
Yeah, because by normal math, that would take like 7 years for most people to get their masters.
Yeah. So you can imagine working quite a bit. And I started recording time when I was probably 10, 11, 12, around there.
Really?
So, yeah, they had, back in Wyoming, they had the ranchers, the school was for 4 days a week. So Friday and Saturdays were off.
Okay.
So Fridays and Saturdays off, and I'd work on Fridays and Saturdays with Dad back when area was in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Okay. What type of work did you do, or?
Pretty much residential, commercial. There wasn't much industrial there. When we moved out here, we got into a little more of the industrial side of things, and that's what kind of sparked the bigger equipment and utility type work. But all them foremen, and I was growing up, they kind of guided me and curbed what I am today. Look back, and just a salty little teenage boy. Probably got on everybody's nerves, I'm pretty sure, but they were patient, and they told me sometimes they'd have to lay it out pretty stern, and I'm pretty happy that they were able to, tell the truth and curb my future.
So about 2010-ish, from 95 to roughly 2010, you're working for your dad.
Yeah.
And you're leaning more towards industrial. What made you guys decide that you were going to go after utility work, that you were become linemen, I should say?
The passion.
So how'd that all start? Take me through that.
Well, you're working inside a building, and you'd watch cranes and excavators and skid steers and bucket trucks go by, and I just felt that I need to be outside working.
Okay.
That's what I enjoyed the most. Our passions led that path.
So how does a commercial electrician make that jump? That's what I'm asking. So one day you're putting in boxes at a warehouse, right? And hooking up a panel. And do you just decide that, hey, we're going to buy a bucket truck and we're going to start climbing telephone poles? Or how does that, tell me how that happened.
Through a lot of training and reading and Yeah, being passionate about it. I mean, no, it don't start overnight. It was slowly introduced. We started working for power companies that had primary metered power. We're able to start pulling underground wire and terminating, and then soon we're needing a line truck to pull the wire, and then soon we're setting poles and going to school and learning and getting.
Was it kind of nerve-wracking, them first couple jobs, or?
Yeah. But as you went on and you learned more and more and more, you got more and more confident. But then you hire people that have the knowledge and skills that bring you to the next level. And pretty soon you're there, right? Doing what you love.
Yeah. If you look at the people we work for, customers or other companies that are even similar to ours, they've got 100, 150-year histories.
Yeah.
How did we accelerate so quickly? What happened there?
I think that just long hours and hiring the right people and reading books and going to school and getting as much training as you can. But there was a lot of cramming in the first couple of years, learning. And then when you get into 100 to 200 range, structure, making sure that all the priorities are in the right direction, stuff like that.
So there's 4 brothers, right, that own this now?
Yes. Yep.
What are their roles and responsibilities, and kind of how do you guys all work together to make this thing work? Because that too is a rare thing where you have 4 family members that are working together, and it seems to work pretty well here.
Yeah. Well, of course, they elected. You guys know that they elected me CEO, and then my brother Paul Jr. He's the COO. Luke is in charge of. He's the VP of marketing. Hans is a general former supervisor.
So Hans still works somewhat in the field, somewhat in the office.
Yep. That's his passion is out there.
Okay.
And he does a really good job of teaching and spending time and making sure it's done right.
And Hans is the youngest brother?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's Luke.
Yep. He took over more of the marketing role and the training part of it. And
then there's
really,
you, right?
Yeah.
And you basically kind of came from the field into the office, but what do you prefer? Do you prefer the field or the office?
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
As I'm getting older, I don't think I'm as good as I once was, as that song goes. Yeah, you can definitely see that over years your passions will change, and you gotta realize that. Follow them. First thing is you gotta love what you do. And then second is you gotta love who you're doing it with.
Hey, I was going to ask you, we started talking about doing these podcasts or doing these recordings as a way to reach out to our employees, because you specifically can't talk to them all like you used to be able to.
Yeah.
Were you nervous or apprehensive about doing this?
Every time.
And I mean it in this way. The current climate, the current way the world is right now, cancer culture, or whatever you want to call it. Were you nervous about doing this because you were scared that you couldn't be yourself? Because the reason I thought about this, you're talking about vulnerability, and it brought up my feelings about this. Like even today when we sat down to do this conversation, I thought, how can I be myself and be perfectly politically correct in my message at the same time?
Yeah, that's hard to do.
I don't think I can be.
And you know what it is? It's me watching the news the last couple of years. That everything people say is shredded, twisted, turned into something that ain't what the person wasn't trying to say in the first place. So that makes me a little nervous, right? Like, is this audio going to go somewhere and then be twisted around, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be
the bad guy.
The bad guy. And
I got to tell you, I was worried about that too, right? Like, I mean, you know me. You grew up with me. A lot of people that work here know me, and they, and I'm concerned that if you can't see my facial expressions when I'm saying something to you, that you might not know what it might come off completely different than what I'm trying to actually say, because I have a sarcastic humor at times.
Yeah,
right?
Yep. If we don't see your smile,
yeah, I mean, how's that conveyed, right? I make a joke or whatever, and you can't see the smile or my eyes when I'm saying this. Like,
yeah,
it could be bad.
Yeah. And I think that, and then you weigh out, okay, is this worth it? But yeah, it is. If one person listens to it and it resounds in their message, and they are proud for who they work for, kind of proud for who they work for and their company that they're working with, and it was worth it, right? But and I've always worried about, I'm not very good at public speaking anyways. I think the more I do it, the easier it becomes, and you just go with it, I guess, But that's how I got to get to, my mindset I have to get to be able to sit down. But if you're in my office and there's guys in there we can visit,
about anything. Yeah.
To 2 o'clock in the morning, 3
But
o'clock.
I sit down in front of this microphone today, and I'm thinking this is a work podcast. This is I got to be super careful how this message is perceived by our 300 employees. And then you start talking about vulnerability, and I asked the question, were we actually being vulnerable when we sit down in front of these microphones?
Sometimes it ain't, because you get a little nervous. You got to put yourself out. But, if you can be, even your message then will be felt real. Right? It ain't scripted. And here at AUI, we don't like, I can't do scripted things. I just, my mind don't work that way. If I could do scripted things, I'd be like an actor or something. It's not me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I thought about this all morning. Like, what do you say to Lars when he sits down? Like, how do you introduce him? How do I make sure the employees perceive it correctly and all that kind of stuff? And sitting here and thinking, this is a guy I know my whole life. I just have a conversation with him. And if people can hear Lars have a conversation, then a real conversation about anything, not necessarily about work, maybe they'll understand us a little bit better.
Yeah, as a company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what my whole intention was, to sit down with you. And it did take me a while, right, to start feeling comfortable. Even when you first were talking about it, and it wasn't quite structured, it kind of made me nervous.
Yeah.
And I mean, we did the one over at Nick's, but it was me and my buddies, right?
Right.
It made it way easier than an AUI one. But I think as we go down the road of these podcasts, that we can talk about lessons learned and deliver a good message to the people, and hopefully.
Yeah. What's your vision? What do you see this thing turning into?
I really think it's the way of communication now. If you look at 90% of the people out there, they listen to podcasts or watching a video, right?
Right.
And they don't read newsletters, they don't really read emails, and they don't get newspapers anymore. So all that old way of communication, we have to get into the new so we can actually get our messages across. And I think it's a real good way of doing it. It's the new way of communicating. We're developing an app that these things will be posted on, and our employees will be able to listen to them. And if it goes farther than that, it goes farther than that. I mean, I think it's a good way of getting who we are as a company out and being communicated. Yeah. So at first I was like, oh, I don't know about podcasts. Is that getting a little far out there? But the more you think about it, it's just the way they communicate. We have to get our message across. So, I mean, you look at even from a safety bulletin point, or safety bulletins, or near misses. No one reads them emails, and we do the best we can to present them. But if we can communicate it seems like if I could do it on my time, I'll find the time that the podcast will fit in, right?
Driving to and from a job site or on your way home from work or whatever it is.
Yep. You can't read a text message or an email or a safety bulletin driving down the road. And let's face it, no one has time to sit unless they're on the toilet. Sometimes I say, hey, we should start doing toilet reads. Because that's about the time that everybody's like, okay, I can start looking at some information.
Right.
Yeah, I think that they don't learn things through osmosis, like my dad says. They have to be taught. They have to be taught. And if they're learning something that you didn't learn, it's hard to teach them, ain't it? Like, growing up, our first jobs, there were no cell phones. We went to work with a foreman, you got off work, and your friends, they'd call the house, and if you weren't there, then they'd drive around until they find you.
Yeah, and there was a meetup spot that we normally had, and we'd drive to that, and if people were there, weren't there, that you'd wait a little while until guys showed up, and if guys didn't show up,
you went home.
You went home, yeah.
You weren't bombarded by all the crap nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to be a child now, you know. You take about this bullying thing, right? And to me, when we were growing up...
You say bullying?
Bullying, yeah.
Okay.
There really wasn't... There was bullying, but it wasn't like... It was from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3.
If you're saying it happened at school.
Yeah.
If you had a guy bullying you at school, you knew it was going to end at some point.
Yeah. And now it don't end. It's constantly. If someone's being bullied, they can be bullied from 24/7.
On their phone.
On their phones.
Some sort of social media.
Yep.
And it never goes away.
Uh-uh.
So if a kid at school said something stupid to me, he said it out loud and it went away, right? Yeah. It wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's there forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why I'm a little nervous with the mic and technology too.
That's why I'm nervous with this podcast, right? It never goes away.
Yeah.
Once this thing's uploaded to some site somewhere, there's a copy of it floating around forever. And is what I'm saying today going to be judged the same way 10 years from now?
Yeah. I think that's that anxieties with it all. But
yeah.
Just got to be, hopefully I don't ever offend anybody or do anything dumb, but.
Well, Lars, I don't have any more on this segment here. I'm not sure where to take it from here, but if you got anything else you want to talk about, let's talk about it. And if not, maybe we'll just wrap up this segment. And I know Nick's got some stuff he needs to cover in the next piece of this, and maybe we'll move to that. But I'll leave that up to you. I mean,
I feel pretty good. I think first I was nervous, and now I kind of enjoy it. And now that it's coming to an end, it's like, man.
Kind of want to keep going?
Kind of want to keep going, but I'm kind of getting tired too.
Well, I do have other segments that that we can cover if you want to. We do have the studio for the rest of the day, so I'll leave that up to you. But
yeah, we can. And let's wrap her up, and
okay,
we'll do segment 2 and figure out what that's going to be, and hopefully people find it useful.
Yeah, and any feedback that we can get from you folks out there as far as the format and topics covered, or if they want to hear anything in particular, we would let us know.
Yeah, but don't you got an info at marketing or something?
Yeah, there's marketing at AUI Power.
Okay.
And also employees can go through the portal.
Oh yeah.
So they can just do a service request.
Yeah.
Marketing. Any information requests or anything like that, it'll come right into us.
Yeah, and even the quality, right? Sound.
Yeah.
If there's something we need to change, and
trying to get better here.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody out there in the company that has experience doing this, and has ideas, like there's no reason why you shouldn't come talk to us.
Yeah. And if you don't, I find out, I'm gonna be mad at you.
Right.
Because
if they think it's funny just to watch us stumble through these first couple ones. Yeah. So, but it was good talking to you.
Yeah, it's great.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
Great conversation. I appreciated it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And look forward to the next one.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Everybody. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.